Hey everybody, Bryan Zane here, joined by Mr. OohLaLa. Mr., it's Sunday night and I'm tired. How are you feeling?
We've watched a grip of wrestling this weekend, friend.
Yeah, lots
colleague.
of wrestling. Yeah, it's, God bless the people who watched not only, Clash of the Castle and All Out, but also Worlds Collide and also GCW the night before.
And there's Effie's Big Gay Brunch. There's
a lot of wrestling going on, and nowhere else will you find a larger collection of just wrestling matches happening than in Chicago, Illinois at the Now Arena for All Out, man, because that was a lot of stuff.
They had a lot of wrestling matches. This, is kind of like the whole is less than the sum of its parts.
Yeah. I have a weird feeling sitting down and talking about this now after the fact. It's like, there's a lot of weird things happening on this show.
It felt like a buffet where you go and you just eat a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. And you don't really feel that full afterwards, and there was no main course.
You kind of forget what you ate.
Yeah, you're like, God damn, did I have the Mushu shrimp or not?
Yeah.
I really wanted to, but God, in between, the octopus legs and whatnot, it just...
Well, I didn't watch all the pre-show. I guess you watched
I glanced at it.
Yeah, and I caught the Eddie Kingston-Ishii match at the end. And I will say, it's like, if you like your hard-hitting, big guys, just, big meaty men bumping meat, hard-hit, strong-style stuff, watch that match, watch Sheamus and Gunther. Because those two matches are going to give you your fix. Absolutely. That was some hard-hitting stuff. So that was a fun match to watch.
Eddie Kingston looking grizzled, looking like he's been spending some time in the burrow.
Yeah.
Thinking about things and getting tough.
I feel like those 4 matches you had in the pre-show, it kind of killed the crowd for a lot of the rest of the show. That was a consistent thing that we noticed, was that the crowd was really, didn't feel it was that hot during the main show.
One thing that has been going through my head with AEW for a while is there is too much of a good thing. Mm-hmm. There's nothing on the show that was bad. Really. There's just so much of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is just presented without context, really. It's just there to get somebody on the show. They're going back and adding a twist to a feud that's already seemingly been resolved. Or, it's just... A lot of it is just wrestling for the sake of wrestling, which, if you're all about the matches and you don't care about angles, you don't care about characters that much, you don't care about having to keep track of stuff, it's great.
Yeah, extra is a word I would use to describe a lot of what we saw on the night. But it's, not all bad. There's some good stuff, like you said.
A lot of good stuff.
Yeah, let's begin with the casino ladder match. For the winner will get a shot at the AEW Championship. You got Wheeler Yuta and Rey Fenix starting things off. And, this is basically just going to start out like a typical spot-heavy ladder match that is of the time. So Rouge comes out next. Andrade El Idolo comes out. You've got Claudio Castagnoli is the 5th man.
He did some amazing. Claudio was, until the end, Claudio was the superhero of this match, for sure.
There was some bizarre ladder contraption that Andrade was kind of stranded on that Claudio was lifting up. Some weird kind of erectors or connects or something.
Like some Swiss erector Tinker Toy set that he, I imagine an 8-year-old Claudio Castagnoli just, putting these toy ladders together and be like, someday I will have my creation.
It's like when you have a bunch of different vehicles from toy lines, but they don't match, they're not compatible. You try and force them together to Gundam them anyway.
You just wedge it in the window of the truck. Yeah,
that's what that was. And then you put your Evil Knievel on there, and then it works. Come on, it works in my canon. Dante Martin is the 6th man, and he's earning his money by just flying all over the place. Penta comes out next. Immediately hits Dante with a destroyer on the ramp. And then there's also one on Andrade and the ladder bridge. They're definitely just getting the most mileage they can at the time they have.
They're I know there's something big happening at the end of this match, so I want to do something to be remembered. And then eventually they were just all wiped out.
They did all the stuff. And then just before the 8th man comes out, a bunch of dudes in masks come in, beat everyone up. It's Stokely Hathaway and all the guys that he recruited over the last several weeks. You've got Ethan Page, you've got Austin and Colton Gunn, W. Morrissey. A lot of guys in that group, and then finally Stokely gets the poker chip. The 8th man comes out, the Joker, and it's they play Sympathy for the Devil. So Tony Khan pulled out money for the Rolling Stones. The Joker comes out in his Magic Mysteries Revealed mask, and it's very obviously MJF. Everyone can see it.
His body language,
My whole thing was he either is really bad at hiding it, or he's doing it because it is obvious, or they know it's going to be obvious, so it's somebody like doing it of a pantomime of an MJF.
Or it's not going to be MJF, and they just want you to think it's MJF, but really it's
yeah. So anyway,
it's Will Ospreay or whatever.
Alert. So anyway, Stokely hands the Joker the poker chip, and that's it. So without lifting a finger, you've got this mystery man who won the thing. I'd say, we've seen a lot of these, big ladder matches. You grab the thing from the top. This is the most unique ending to a match like this.
It is. It's almost like how they've never done the finish at the Rumble where everybody's eliminated and then number 30 comes out and just wins.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. I would love to see that.
They do it just once. That's all I'm asking, Paul. Just once.
I'd say this was a 3-star match, 5-star intrigue, because at the time, even though we all kind of saw who this person was, but it's like, to me, I was just like blown away at how this finish was played out because it was so different. And it's like, yeah, they had their spots and stuff at the beginning and it all kind of like nullified, but it was, you got your best of both worlds. You got a big spot heavy match, and then you got this story, this really crazy mystery to kind of kick off the show.
The ladder match seemed exciting, but also perfunctory.
Yeah.
But then, we got the big angle, so I would probably give it, what did I put here? Sorry. Showing you how the sausage is made here, kids. I got 3 1/4 for the ladder match.
Yeah, so it was, as far as the match itself goes, it was fine. I think they got all the stuff out of their system they possibly could before the 8th man came out. Moving on to the Trios Championship Tournament Finals. It was decided on Rampage. It was going to be the Elite. It was going to be Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks versus Hangman Page and the Dark Order. And man, what a difference a few weeks and a tan and some body oil get to, because Kenny Omega looks like a full strength again, man.
He's been cooking under there, and now, the little thing popped out of the turkey, and he's ready.
His compression vest also doubled as like kind of a self-tanner. Speaking of interesting looks, Nick Jackson, completely absurd. It's like it was the Hollywood Hogan thing, but he still had the full beard, so it was kind of like a disciple is what I got from it.
And when I did the close-up, you could see it like didn't go blonde all the way. It's kind of like muddy, like little spots,
Oh, it was so bad. It reminded me of when I did the bleach thing for the Hogan stash a couple of years ago, and I just couldn't get it bright enough. Like, that was how I felt. Side note, the Nick Jackson might be a top contender for what I'm going to do for the facial hair contest later this year.
I'll make sure he puts it in the voting, kids.
Yeah, we get the storyline we get running through this match is that Adam Page doesn't want his partners to take like the cheap way out or to stomp or take liberties with the opponents, because there's a friendship he's trying to mend there.
I mean, they were literally just doing like offense, like he wasn't choking him, he wasn't like poking his eye, like or the Dark Order is like
couple of stomps.
It's stomping him. I mean, he's like, hey, don't win it that way.
We get the face-off with Omega and Page. John Silver. I think this match was a great showcase for him in particular. Like his big combos, he runs around the ring, brainbuster on the outside.
People want Johnny Hungy to get something.
Yeah, they wanted to have his moment here, and we almost got it too. It's very dynamic and flippy stuff throughout this match, and then by the end, we're just kind of like, what count? It's like, we've known this is kind of the thing with Young Bucks matches in particular.
And Rick Knox.
Yeah, right? And Rick Knox is, he's their guy for refereeing, and he always lets everything go. I think they should just make, by default, I think tag team matches in AEW should just be Tornado by default. Just like to, get rid of the whole thing, the argument of a count in tag wrestling in the first place.
Either that or just start enforcing it, I mean, they could bring in a commissioner character and just have him, no more interim titles, and just have him get rid of all the annoying stuff,
Yeah, I think if you had, yeah, that's true. If you had, Tornado rules, though, as a default, it's like, I think you could, something that kind of sets AEW apart from other companies if they just do that as exclusively, because Tornado is so rare. When I play the video games, I have to play in Tornado mode because the tag in mechanic and everything is so, and the saves are so constant. So that's why I do Tornado. Falls count anywhere, you take care of him, I'll pin the other guy. Big old Tiger Driver at one point, and then there's a big moonsault slam, and that was scary. That one that Page did to Omega off the top.
Yeah.
They try to recreate the moment from Full Gear last year where it's like Hangman's on the apron getting ready for the buckshot. The Bucks are there. They kind of give him the high sign, or kind of like what it was at that show. It's a misdirect, buckshot onto Page, the BT trigger, and then that's the kick out, which I feel like...
To me, that's like one of the biggest gripes of modern wrestling. AEW does it a lot, where they're like, okay, what's the perfect storyline finish for this match? Okay, yeah, let's revisit that spot from Full Gear. And then let's add 3 more minutes of near falls in wrestling to it and get the same outcome that we would have had if we just ended it here.
That's kind of how it was, too. It felt like that was a natural place for it, but of course, it's a Young Bucks Kenny Omega spectacle, so it's got to, tack more stuff onto that.
Like you said, extra. Very extra.
What we got, I mean, I will say, they made good use of that time because we had like a couple of really cool close calls, like John Silver possibly pinning Omega. It ends, though, because Hangman gets the accidental buckshot onto Silver. Omega pins and wins. So the, Kenny Omega and the Bucks, they're the first Trios champions. Was there ever any doubt? You might as well just put their names on the belts, like emblazoned in the center plate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give this one 4 stars out of 5, mostly on the strength of, like, John Silver is he was a hidden gem for me for this one. He was really kind of the juice that kept this match going for me. And also just the story they were telling, like, by the end, like, all those, it was very dramatic, like, final third of the match, and that's what really got me roped in.
Absolutely, yeah. I would go 4 1/4 probably.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it a lot. It was spotty, but it's a Kenny Omega Young Bucks match, so complaining about that is like listening to Speed Metal and being like, I can't understand what they're saying. All they do is screaming. It's too fast. Yeah. It is what it is. That's what you're buying. I really enjoyed the match, and yes, after they did all their stuff and kind of got into the story portion of the match and got into the near falls at the end, it really picked up.
Yeah, I'm excited about the trios division. I think like that's kind of what they've been clamoring for a long time. There are so many teams, and like there's so many different permutations within stables that I think that's like there's a lot of opportunities there for some really interesting champions in the future.
There's lots of stables, that's for sure.
Yeah. Jade Cargill defends the TBS championship against Athena. I liked the special pay-per-view attires they had this time around.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, Athena had her pay-per-view quality wings because the old ones got destroyed, the animatronic thing there. And then Jade struggling to get through the foam bricks.
She almost pulled a Shockmaster, man. Oh. She-Hulk Shockmaster.
Yeah, that was, had the She-Hulk look was great. I loved the paint and the bodysuit and everything. But yeah, man, she almost ate it on those bricks.
The She-Hulk Master.
The She-Hulk Master. I felt so bad for her because she fought to maintain her composure and she did a pretty good job.
Yeah, she looks good, man. She can all she has to do is smile and flex and
just played it off.
The slate is clean.
Yeah, kind of a shocking moment to begin because Athena hitting her finisher, the O-face, from the get-go, but the baddies pull Athena out kind of late. They kind of missed their cue.
They whiffed that a little bit, and Athena knocked the shit out of
Layla Gray.
Yeah.
Oh god, the impact she took was amazing.
Kiera Hogan was like, "Fuck that, I'm not doing this," and like ran to the other side.
Yeah, this was an okay match. I mean, I felt like there was a lot of like clunkiness.
There's a lot of Jade, like, okay, 1, 2, 3, we're gonna do the thing.
Jade in the end though kicking Athena out of the sky when she's trying another diving attack. Hitting the Jade to win, so Athena is victim number 37 here. So, Mister, what grade would you give this match?
I would give it 2 1/4 stars. She is improving, but she's not quite there yet. So her matches have a bit of a paint by numbers quality, and she's doing great for how long she's been wrestling.
Yeah.
But her matches are kind of clunky. The timing of them is weird.
I give it 2 stars out of 5 for me. I felt the same way. So I feel there's been better Jade matches on pay-per-view. This was just can't win them all basically. We get a shot from earlier of CM Punk pandering to Chicago. Then we go to
with his dog. That's cheap, man.
His dog, yeah, man. Everyone knows. Oh, he's just buying those cheers and just getting it real easy with the dog.
He's using poor Larry.
So our next matchup is a 6-man tag. You've got Jay Lethal and the Motor City Machine Guns, who are on loan from Impact Wrestling, taking on Wardlow and FTR. The Why Is This Match Happening spectacle of the evening.
Yeah, I don't know how, like, with the pop they get, how is FTR not in a feature match, like one of the top 5 focused on X in the company?
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. I mean, you saw watching this how many empty seats there were on the hard cam side. That was pretty shocking to me. At that point, the crowd is definitely tired, and there was kind of a death spot for these guys here. And if it's for a match that honestly, I think it's just kind of an artificial extension of the Wardlow Jay Lethal feud. I don't think that those other 4 guys really need to be part of this. But
I question the psychology of bringing in like, hey, here's a beloved team
Yeah.
that we all are really excited to see that hasn't been around in a while. We're going to have them face your most popular team.
Yeah, and it feels like, it's FTR versus the Machine Guns with extra steps. I think if you just put that match on, it would have been great. You've got this great heat from Sanjay Dutt, where he's wearing the shirt that says "Fight like an 8-year-old brat."
Yeah.
Oh, what a despicable heel! And then you've got Dax's daughter Finley coming out for the entrance and gets the pop. I was kind of hoping she was going to, kick Sanjay in the dick by the finish of this matchup here. It was a fine match, I guess.
Nothing wrong with it at all. It was, a basic tag match, and then at the end you had a bunch of showcase spots for Wardlow.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've got Satnam Singh coming in at one point because I guess he was mad that he had the same haircut as Wardlow, so he decked him, and then caused him the 2 count there. A lot of all the men in the ring itis near the end of this match, where it's again, it's the what count is there. Let's get everybody in there. Wardlow showing his strength against the smaller guys like Sabin and Shelley, so I think that's a fun visual to see him, tossing the cruiserweights around and everything. Wardlow beheading Jay Lethal, then hitting all those power bombs in order to win the matchup here. I'm gonna give it 3 stars out of 5 because the match was okay, but again, it's just one of those things where it didn't really feel like it belonged on this show. I just feel like it was just a throwaway.
It was superfluous. Yeah, 3 stars. It was not great, not terrible.
Then after the bell, the heels gang up on FTR and Wardlow, but then suddenly Samoa Joe, remember him? He shows up and saves the day, does the ROH TV champion. And then you've got Finley, the daughter. She breaks Sanjay Dutt's pencil.
She broke the pencil, man. That was just a cruel stroke. The cruelest stroke.
Yeah, but she broke his Horcrux, and then so Sanjay just kind of disintegrated from the Dax punch. And then Finley pinned to win the match. So
and Saddam Singh, you look, and he was suddenly 4 foot tall. The spell was broken.
Yes. Up next, Ricky Starks taking on Powerhouse Hobbs in a grudge match. I like the fact that in this match that you had, Taz on the commentary team here, and I think it was kind of cool to have him be this voice to talk about these two and what they went through as part of Team Taz,
sure,
putting them both over and everything. It's a match that's kind of hard to describe because not a lot happens in it.
It was kind of a setup. It felt like a match you would do on Dynamite to set up the pay-per-view match, which we also have later when we'll talk about something else on the show that was a similar grudge match.
Yeah, it starts out, with Starks just taking a lot of the pain, pressure on his neck. That's what he's really working here. Starks comes back and hits this tornado DDT that, I felt like his descent took a lot longer than it felt like it should have. There was a point where he rotated a little bit extra on the way down that made me a little scared. Then, out of nowhere, Hobbs is the spine buster and wins.
Well,
I
guess if they want to get over his finisher, that's how to do it. But
it was a scary looking one too. I don't know if you saw the way Starks.
I'm sure Ricky Starks was like, "Kill me on this one, brother." If he's losing that quick, man, you want it to look like it. Typically, when a team or something splits up, one of them's getting the push, and the other one is Jannetty. But they want to push Hobbs and Ricky Starks clearly.
Yeah.
So it's tough to balance.
You know what? Well, first of all, I'm going to give this match 2.5 stars. I feel like the match itself was fine for the short time they had. I can't stop looking at this match and thinking about Judgment Day 1998, The Rock versus Mark Henry. It sounds weird, but The Rock had just pretty much left the nation or broke it up.
Yeah.
Mark Henry was his first opponent. This is that weird time period where he was a face before turning heel at Survivor Series. And so Henry gets that win, and these two are never in each other's orbit again because at that point, The Rock is off doing his thing.
And they didn't even give. Mark Henry became half of a tag team with D'Lo, and they had Ivory, and he was doing the sexual chocolate stuff.
Yeah.
It's not like they were like, oh, we better get some equity out of The Rock before, in this little pocket. We have him as a face because we're really going to do something with Mark Henry down the road.
Yeah, so I feel like Hobbs really, it's good that he has this win. I think it's a big win for him. It's probably his biggest singles win to date, so I think it's great for him. Ricky Starks is one of those guys who I would hope is going to be fine from this and it doesn't derail him. His star, I think, will continue to rise.
He's so good on the mic, and that's probably why it was so easy for them to beat him because they're like, he'll cut a passionate promo and get his heat back.
He'll go on to bigger and better things.
Again, on a show where it's 13 matches, what was it? 11 matches on the main show.
Yeah.
man, this could have been on Dynamite or Rampage or something. I'd do about 2.5.
There's a backstage promo where Swerve in Our Glory is talking with the Acclaimed, with Billy Gunn, and I love the Acclaimed calling them the Timon and Pumbaa of the tag team division. That was pretty awesome. And then Swerve hits him with some good comebacks, brings up the fact that Bowens keeps getting hurt, letting down the team and everything. Some good verbal fire to whet our appetites for the in-ring fire that was the tag title match.
It was amazing, man. This was the dark horse. This was the big surprise of the show, because this was another one where I'm like, the Acclaimed.
Yeah.
Like, how does FDR not have the title shot? The Acclaimed. But man, they fucking.
Yeah, I feel they really knocked out this one. The one thing that was kind of a letdown was Max Caster's rap, where it's like his final lines like, Donald Trump's documents! And the fans are like, I don't really care about that. I love the fact how over Scissor Me Daddy Ass has gotten. Like, there were no fewer than 4 different chants throughout this match having to do with scissoring and or daddy ass.
I know, man. Tony Khan, let's get a Sid cameo. Have him come out with the Acclaim.
Oh, no.
Scissor me, Sid! And then Arnold come out with his Glock, and it'll be a whole thing.
So many things. This was the match where everyone got their signs out. It's like, it reminds you of like when Socko first became big. And you knew it was big because everyone got the signs out.
Well, you want a catchphrase or a symbol that's...
Yeah,
it's
how have we gone in like 25
so
years?
Easy. You got some 8-year-old in the audience is like, yeah.
We've gone from the X's to everyone's like going, yeah. I love what wrestling has turned us into. Jim Ross on commentary at this point, who I'm pretty sure only joined the commentary team at this point so he could go, listen, at the beginning of Caster's rap. One of the stories in this thing is that Bowens apparently injures his knee, and that becomes a big focal point in the match. Feels very legitimate for a split second, and you see Swerve and Lee working it over. Bowen revs up, hits what I think a friend in our party described as a cross-body into a blockbuster. I had never seen the move executed quite that way before.
It happened really fast, and then he was down.
Big hot tag for Caster. Keith Lee pouncing Swerve on accident. A couple of friendly fire bits from those guys, because there's also the kick onto Lee as well. A Taka Michinoku-like missile drop kick by Caster. I'm going to credit Jonas Albert Robinson for that one. Get a mic drop, 2 mic drops actually. There's still not enough. Like, so many close calls here.
Man, they really wanted the Acclaim to win. It feels like a missed opportunity.
Yeah, it would. Close but no cigar. Spirit Bomb, like Meteor combo for Swerve in Our Glory to win and retain. I'm going to give this one 4.5 stars. I think this was my pick for match of the night. What about you?
Right with you. Down, same star rating and everything. 4.5. Match of the night. This was a...
Yeah. It was a welcome surprise, and also, but what I think spoke to a bigger overall letdown of the night, because I feel like a lot of like the dark-sided teams kind of won, and just sides in general.
It felt like a heel show. It felt like
a very heel-heavy show.
Let's get some stuff cooking for the fall, because AEW needs some steam. They need a little bit of extra, sugar and spice on the recipe.
Toni Storm was set.
We have 5 matches left to go. Just still chugging along here, folks. We got the 4-way for the Interim Women's World Championship. Hikaru Shida, Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, and Toni Storm. Mister, what do you think about the whole thing with the interim belt? I think that's kind of the running gag now in AEW.
I think it's dumb.
Interim champions.
I think it's dumb. I mean, I know they're trying to be legit, like UFC or whatever, but it's not a real sport. It's just confusing.
Yeah.
Just have the person come back and challenge them,
It's weird because we've been so conditioned over the years where, if wrestlers, if a champion's injured, they give up the belt, you have a vacated belt. So it's just kind of a different spin on it, basically. I think that it's a matter of wording, and I think that once you have one champion making an interim thing where they hold on to the belt, you can't really have other championships be vacated. It kind of has to be that way now.
An interim champion, man, it's like kissing your sister, It's just like, it's gonna this chariot's gonna turn into a pumpkin as soon as Thunder Rosa's back.
It essentially turns into like a talisman for the #1 contendership. Well, I got this replica belt, but if I try really hard, I get the real thing. Hayter hits showing the power here with a double suplex and a double clothesline. She's a real star of this match, I think. Shida and Storm fight for a while. Rebel just gets in there for some reason and gets double headbutted, like, thanks for coming. Shida is stomped on the ramp and she's carried off for a couple of minutes here. And you've got got Toni Storm getting worked over by the team of Britt and Hayter. I just noticed, actually, at this point in the match that Jamie has the same little chains on the back of her boots as Kenny Omega did for his match.
Oh, they must have the same boot maker.
The same gear maker, exactly. Shida comes back with 2 kendo sticks and goes crazy, just hitting everybody. Get a weird double pin by Britt and Hayter, where it looks like poor Shida got spiked. We have a moment where Britt tries to get one over on her own partner, Jamie, but she still kicks out. Ultimately, Storm gets the win here. She wins, and she's the new interim women's champ. I felt like a foregone conclusion just because that's the match they were trying to set up in the first place with her and Thunder Rosa. So now you're going to have a reason for that with them both being champion. I give it 3.5 stars. I think it was a really physical matchup. I enjoyed what these gals did. And they told a lot of story in there, kind of that swerve at the end with, Britt kind of like trying to sacrifice Jamie for the greater good. I think it just overall, I think it was a good bout between the 4 of them.
I agree. I'll go 3.25 on this one. If they want to do this one, like ratings are going to be down anyway or calculate it, but they need to just start putting the women in main events and just
take some risks.
Just be like, they are stars, they are stars, they are stars, and then like what happened in WWE. Eventually, they're like, hey, these people are stars.
Yeah, well, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy because there was a whole thing about why Thunder Rosa's, vacating or interiming of the championship, walking away due to injury was so short compared to CM Punk's. And Tony Khan was like, well, because Punk's is going to draw more. And that's like, of course, because you don't treat them like stars. And you don't, give them that time and that platform. So, of course, people aren't going to care as much. It's a circular thinking. Up next, Christian Cage versus Jungle Boy. My one real note on this was, Luchasaurus, no!
Luchasaurus, why? Luchasaurus.
Yeah.
I feel bad for you because they've just kind of used you as a plot device.
Yeah, he had a double turn. He beat up Jungle Boy on the entranceway, choke slammed him on the metal grate, and you saw his back with the grill marks.
And Taz was like, those grids are hot from the fireworks, man. You could cook a guy's back on that.
Yeah, he just gets the hell beat out of him, gets slammed through a table that nobody is near at ringside, and then finally gets brought in the ring, and Jungle Boy still wants to go. The match begins, spear, the match ends, Christian wins. You can't even really rate this match. I'm gonna,
no star rating.
It's an angle more than anything else. Now, granted, I think it's kind of a cool angle, I guess, because Christian is really digging in now. You really want to see Jungle Boy, get that revenge, especially now with Luchasaurus. But I feel they've kind of they just lengthened it with Luchasaurus is actually good after all.
I think you have to be careful when you're doing that with people.
Yeah, you double turned him. Yeah.
Yeah, what was he thinking this whole time? What? I don't know. It's just...
Yeah.
It's kind of a mess. And again, this is something that could have been on Dynamite or Rampage. Like the Hobbs Ricky Stark match. Felt like a setup to what the match is going to ultimately be.
Yeah, it feels like with this, could have been a thing. But I guess that's how you're going to get so many matches on the card in a finite amount of time. You make one of them basically an angle, make it really short. Backstage, Alex Marvez has a soliloquy for his question to the Death Triangle. Then on we go to the American Dragon Bryan Danielson versus the Lionheart Chris Jericho.
Wrestler versus sports entertainer.
Right, featuring Willie Reeves on commentary, featuring Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson's really good friend, Elliot Taylor, who sings Danielson's theme song. I think a lot of people discovered for the first time that it was a man who sang that song.
I think some people wish it was Europe and they were singing the final countdown, but,
Yeah, well, you only have enough money for Rolling Stones. You can't get that and Europe. You can't get it in the same show.
This was really Chris Jericho versus his pants, wasn't it?
God, I felt so bad for Jericho. It's like he was clearly wearing the original Lionheart tights or something because they did not fit him here.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that those would be, degraded by now if they're like that weird, 90s plastic material that so many of the guys wore, but
I don't know what the story with that was. I felt it's Rey Mysterio adjusting his mask, but 10 times worse because he's just he'll finish the move and go boom,
or he'll take a bump and be like, oh god, that hurt. Pull up the pants, as Terry Funk would say. Chris Jericho, you had a satchel ass.
I mean, the wrestling itself, once they did it, it was actually
the wrestling
good.
was great. The actual wrestling match was awesome. I mean,
when you don't get distracted by the tights and everything, it's actually a really good match. I think they have great chemistry together. There's a moment here where Jericho, the first time he gets the walls of Jericho locked in, he's making faces where he looks like somebody deep-faked Gordon Ramsay's face onto Chris Jericho.
What are you, Danielson? I'm an idiot sandwich. What was that? An idiot sandwich.
Danielson kicks the head in, label lock for a long time. Jericho fights out of it, gets the walls. We get the Lion Tamer at one point too, which is of course, you got to build up to that and everything. A lot of the big elbows. There's cattle mutilation too throughout this match. That was a.
They were both going old school. We had
1990
Chris Jericho and 2005 Bryan Danielson.
It was definitely physical by the end. Then there's a moment in the corner where the referees kind of smooched, low blow, Judas effect, Jericho wins. The rest of the Jericho Appreciation Society celebrating. You have Daniel Garcia looking on, kind of disappointed. We'll hear from him later.
Forlorn in front of the television, WWE style.
Yeah, exactly. I give this match 4 stars out of 5. I liked a lot of it. The pants notwithstanding. Very good technical match, and I think these guys worked extremely well together.
Yeah, I'll go 4 stars too. Danielson, of course, is awesome, and since Jericho kicked the booze, man, he's been doing great. He's really stepped it up.
The House of Black take on Miro, Darby Allin, and Sting. I had one question for Buddy Matthews in this thing. Did he spend a little too much time in the tanning bed? He was pink, man.
Somebody ribbed him, man.
He looked kind of like Soda Popinski compared to the other members of the House of Black.
Yeah, they're supposed to be goth, and they're all like pale and tattooed and makeup, and he's like, open.
I feel it's like, it's, the physique is great, but man, if he had more tattoos like his partners, then it wouldn't look like that.
Yep.
Miro doing all the work at the beginning for his team, kind of like snubbing Darby and Sting early on. They bring up their past as rivals with them and everything. Darby getting worked over for a lot of the match, as is custom. We get the classic referee misses the hot tag spot with Miro. Stinger comes in, though, hits many of his splashes. He outfoxes the baddies. We get the face-off with Sting and Malachi. We get a Scorpion Deathlock, and Black is now bleeding at this point.
Somehow, yeah.
I don't know how
Sting caught him with, like, one of these, I think.
Yeah, they were trading blows and everything. And so, kind of a cool visual of Malachi through all the black, face paint and everything, to have that crimson glowing through was a really cool visual. Sting no-selling the other guy is kicking him while he's in the Scorpion Deathlock. Like, he's like, yeah, I'm crazy, just do something. It was a very Terry Funk moment.
They're like, oh my god.
Where he was absorbing the contact for a while. That was pretty awesome. Sting missing Malachi in the face, and then Darby rolls him up to win the match, which definitely surprised me.
There were rumors that Malachi Black asked for his release.
Yeah, there's some trouble in paradise here with Malachi Black and everything, so whether or not he's going to get that release, who really knows? It's shocking what they've done. I mean, I thought that WWE dropped the ball with, Aleister Black.
And Miro, dude.
Yeah, and then you've got them, and they're kind of in the same place that they started or when they left WWE.
It's funny how a lot of people are, really. I mean...
Yeah, I'm going to give this match 3 stars, I guess, is what I'm going to give my rating for this one.
Yeah, that sounds about right for me, too. It was fun, but it's just like...
We've seen the Darby beatdown before.
It's middling. It's like, why is this here? I mean, I get... Just because you want to put everybody on the show is not a good enough reason for me. Right. Sorry, it's just not. I mean, these guys... I respect them, but they're not my friends. They're not my employees. I'm a fan. I'm a customer. So you have to give me a reason to want to watch this match besides simply existing.
Oh, this is a cool idea in my head. Backstage, Chris Jericho talking to Daniel Garcia about why he didn't show up after the match. Garcia saying Jericho let him down by cheating to win, and so Jericho says that the Jericho Appreciation Society will not have his back in the pure title match on Wednesday. Then we go to our main event, as it's for the World Championship. The rematch from a couple of weeks ago, it's going to be Jon Moxley defending against Cookie Monster Punk. And this was a very interesting crowd, I think. I feel like they've gone to Chicago so many times as AEW that like the Punk magic of like the hometown reaction.
Of it being the hometown. It's just an AEW crowd. It's not like, this is Punk's hometown. It's like, Chicago is like AEW's hometown.
Essentially.
Really.
That and Jacksonville, I think, are the places they play, they're 2 home bases. That being said, I think the crowd definitely was still very pro CM Punk, but we had like really interesting dynamics throughout the night where it was like it'd be mostly CM Punk and then be kind of a blend, and sometimes it'd be mostly Moxley. By the end of the main event, the fans were cheering and booing for shit I couldn't even line up with anymore. So I'm like, what are you responding to?
They were just fucking excited and bloodthirsty, as Jon Moxley was bloodthirsty. He was trying to eat CM Punk's face.
Yeah, well, Punk wearing the long white tights.
White tights was the giveaway, man. There's going to be some DNA on those babies in 20 minutes or less.
Yeah, exactly. And so there was some blood. Yeah, kind of ironic that, Moxley, known for bleeding in so many of his matches, he's not the one who bled. Didn't bleed at all in this match, I don't think.
Yeah.
So, they did a callback early on where Punk hits the kick on the other foot. He connects, hits the GTS, we get a 2 count. And, it's a very violent affair here. This one is definitely physical. It's a brawl, after the bleeding especially, where Moxley stays on the attack. He, licks the blood.
It had a good pacing to it. It was a good back and forth. It didn't ever really get dull, which is hard to do after people have been watching wrestling for 5 hours.
Yeah.
The one thing that I took away that I mentioned to you before we even watched the match is the 3-minute match they did a couple weeks ago. I think I heard this because now Punk has to win. I mean, if it wasn't a foregone conclusion before because it's in Chicago, and I was like, well, he got squashed the first time, so of course he's going to win. I mean, it didn't hurt my enjoyment of the match that much because you still had the thing with the ladder match, the Joker,
the
up in the air. So you're like, there's some sizzle there. So that kind of made you excited to see the end. I mean, it was a great match. I'm not going to say it wasn't, but it was also just kind of like, I pretty much know where this is going, and that's where it went.
Right. I mean, there were times near the end I was getting especially feeling kind of antsy, where it's like when Punk was on the ropes, I'm like, oh my God, how is he possibly going to come back from this? Are they really going to go there and have Moxley beat Punk? And there were some close calls, it felt like. The elbow drop from the top is countered into the rear naked choke. There's an ankle lock, all these different things working against him. There's yay boos, of course. Gotta love those punches back and forth. One GTS, Moxley lands on Punk's back, so he gets another one right after that. Pins to win, and Punk gets the championship back in his hometown. Fans very happy about this. It was a very physical affair. I'm going to give this one 4 stars because I think it was just one of those knocky draggies I like a lot. And it really kind of had me on the edge of my seat throughout. It was a match we had seen before. Like you said, felt like it was kind of a foregone conclusion, so how do you get us there? But I was still very entertained.
I'll go a little higher. I'll go 4 1/4.
After the match, the lights cut out. And everyone's going, what's going to happen here? We suddenly hear the disembodied voicemail of Tony Khan.
Now, you've been very naughty, and you've had very many unexcused absences. I've written your name on the board, but now, I'm going to bend a little bit, and I'm going to give you that contract, but you have to show up at All Out, and I'll pay you beep.
Yeah, no extension, but he's going to pay you X amount of dollars. I'm going to put you in the Casino Battle Royal if you show up here. It's my final offer. They played the clip from Ring of Honor, Punk, when he won the belt, saying the greatest trick the devil played was pretending or
making you think he doesn't exist.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so then the unmasking happens. It's MJF. Everyone fucking knew it, but it was still really cool to see that reveal. And I'm glad they did it tonight on the show.
They needed something.
Yeah.
They needed something hot to get people talking about him again.
MJF comes back after his several-month absence, after leaving under questionable circumstances, seemingly, was this a shoot turned into a work? Was this a work from the beginning? I don't know if we'll ever really know the answer to that.
I think it was probably at the beginning, and then they settled their shit, and then they're like, let's make an angle out of it. I think they've done that a few times recently.
So it's kind of hard to tell, but boy, it's one of those things where it really plays into what, the fans have been just brewing up online for weeks and weeks and everything. And I think that was a really good payoff. I'm glad they did it. I was kind of hoping that they were going to have a thing where he somehow cashes in the poker chip tonight and just beats Punk in his hometown. That would have been amazing.
I feel like they need to be really careful because he's been gone so long. This aura is built up around him. They have to be really careful that he doesn't just become another one of the wrestlers. Figure out a way for him to do promos where he sends in videos like the NWO style, or he, some different thing to where it's not just like now it's time for the MJF segment. He should be a rebel. He should be against the grain, but also do stuff that make you hate him because unless you want him to become a huge babyface, being the rebel that succeeds makes you a babyface.
I mean, it's interesting because I think MJF we just talked about Summer of Punk on the channel, 2011 style on the channel, and that was one of those things where the rebel didn't stay away long enough. The rebel assimilated too quickly once they got back in. Right now, this feels kind of like a spiritual successor to that storyline and what they were trying to accomplish, or what I feel they could have gone with. And I think it's showing it's like they waited a long time for this as opposed to doing it 8 days later, which I think is smart. So
I mean, if they do the thing where like MJF wins the AEW title, say that's what we were talking, Arthur Ashe, New York, and if he then takes that title and like defends it around indies and shit and kind of goes rogue with it.
Yeah, because they make a point. There's no extensions, so it's like, ooh, who knows?
His contract runs up, and then all of a sudden he's in GCW. Or he's in Beyond Wrestling, or he's in POW.
Yeah, well, one can only hope. And I think that, I don't know, considering they had to censor out the amount that Tony offered MJF, ours would be censored out as well, I think, just for the wrong reasons. Hey, Brian Zane here with a bit of an addendum to this review. Mr. and I filmed this whole thing. We were like innocent babes in the woods. We had no idea of what had happened in the media scrum after the pay-per-view, in which among other things, CM Punk went in a whole big rant about his relationship in the history with Colt Cabana. He ran down Hangman Page. He said that the EVPs couldn't run a target. He was just going scorched earth on everything and everyone in AEW in that scrum, and Tony Khan just sat there letting it all happen. And then of course there's the rumor that happened that there was a big skirmish or some kind of fight, some fracas between Punk and the Bucks and Omega after Punk said his piece. And now it's just chaos in AEW is the word of the day based on the news. And this is just it's hard to watch and hard to hear about. You hate to see a company go through these public embarrassments. That's kind of the best way to describe it. It's embarrassing to see them conduct themselves like this. Tony Khan needs to be able to assert himself as a leader and get these guys in line. And if he has to pick a side, it's a hard thing to do, but I think he's going to have to do it if it's going to be continuing down this road. On the one hand, it's massively entertaining to see Punk airing his grievances in such a way. That's why I think he's been so entertaining, and why the Pipe Bomb back in 2011, for example, is such a revered promo, because he's speaking his mind, he's saying all these things, and that's kind of what we associate with Punk. But if it's coming at the expense of the harmony in the locker room, and when it's got this whole WCW potential of the inmates running the asylum, that's just not a good look. And I feel like after it's been a year now of CM Punk and AEW, more or less, and it just feels like, what have they accomplished? Only now there's just all this descent, it seems, and all these stories of all, like, not just Omega and the Bucks and Punk. It's like it's Sammy Guevara, Eddie Kingston. It's all these different stories of unrest, and I don't know if it speaks to a larger part of the culture or not, but I think things have to be changed, and Tony Khan's gonna have to clamp down on people. That was not a good look. That scrum didn't make anyone look good. If anyone's saying it's a work, again, it's like, who does this work benefit? Really nobody, long term. So it's just unfortunate, and it takes the thunder away from MJF's big return that we saw, among other things. There's so much things that happened wrong with that scrum. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the last AEW media scrum for a long time. But that's my piece on the CM Punk saga as of what happened last night. I wanted to get it in this review. What do you all think about what happened with that? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Now, Mister, before we get to our grade for All Out, I have to ask you, which show did you enjoy better? Was it Clash of the Castle on Saturday, or was it All Out tonight?
Well, I would say I enjoyed Clash of the Castle more until the end, but the end took a lot off of it for me, whereas this, it was very long, and there was some stuff that I wasn't that interested in or didn't engage me, but there was lots of really good stuff. So I would probably give this one a slight edge. I think I gave Clash of the Castle a B, so I'd probably give this a B+.
Ooh, okay.
Slight B+.
Yeah,
I mean, I almost want to just B for both of them, but that feels kind of like a cop-out to not pick one.
I would give the edge to Clash of the Castle, because at least it was like there were fewer matches. I remember everything that happened on that show. We just watched All Out, and I had a hard time remembering some of the stuff I had literally typed out in front of me.
I could still tell you everything that happened on Clash of the Castle. Yeah,
even though the finish for that show was a super letdown, and I kind of stand by that, I still think that on the whole, that show was just like, it felt like it was more of a enjoyable watch to get through, just as a viewer, than All Out was. Because even though, like you said, a lot of great matches, and I think there were some cool moments, it was just so long.
Clash at the Castle was more of like a defined vision.
People who are kind of saying, well, Clash at the Castle is a glorified house show, and All Out's supposed to be AEW's biggest show, so you could also say that's kind of not fair to compare the two.
Well, AEW doesn't have house shows. So.
Exactly. So they treat it like a big old deal, so that's kind of why we're kind of comparing them. Yeah, but I mean, it's just like it depends on what you want. I think that they packed a lot of story into All Out, so I appreciate that. Not just the stuff with the ladder match, but there was a lot of stuff going on. And I think that Clash at the Castle had like a little bit of story. Like Ray, Dominic turning on Ray was a big thing. I think that was the big emotional takeaway from that show. Sure. And there was a few more things that happened at All Out. So, God, I would almost say they were kind of, I would grade them the same. So if I gave Clash at the Castle B-, I don't want to give All Out a C+, because that makes it seem really bad.
It's not a C+ show. It was better than that.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's tough, honestly. I would give this one a B- too. It seems like a cop-out, but fuck it.
Let it be said, I didn't cop out, Brian did, okay?
Yeah,
so make sure you let him know in the comments, guys.
Yeah, be negative toward me in the comments for once. I think if you took away maybe 5 of those matches, it would have been such a tighter show.
Take some of those sizzling matches and put them on your Rampage show that's dying on the vine on Fridays, you know?
Right. But what did you think of All Out, folks? What did you think comparing it to Clash at the Castle? Which was the superior show? Will you cop out like me and say they were equal? Let me know in the comment section below. But for Mr. OohLaLa, I am Brian Zane, and we'll see you next time.